What is up, YouTube? I know it's been a little more than a week, but I miss y'all. Mother's Day came, Haven's state championship for track came, Tucker's official last day as a senior came. It's been a busy week with awards and ceremonies. One more week of this, you know, it's bittersweet, but yeah, I am just so proud of my kids. I had a wonderful Mother's Day. I hope all the other moms out there can say the same about theirs. Thank you to all mothers. There shouldn't be just one day where we're made significant. I pray that you are blessed enough to have a family that knows you're important and significant every day that you spend with them, together and apart. So with that, let's start with our opening rants. So, you know, I am cutting and prepping for my first bodybuilding journey, and I just want to talk a little bit, like, thoroughly about my journey before. So about 2017, you know, I was a little overweight for my liking. I was about 157 pounds. I know that's hard for y'all to believe. And I just want this journey and this message to be heard for all the women and men out there that feels like skinny is going to fix what it is you're searching for. Because we all know when we get on a weight loss journey, when we get on a bodybuilding kick, when we want to do like muscle recomp, when we want to become active after coming out of a phase of just generally either having children, buying a house, just whatever it is we go through, because everyone's at a different phase. I want y'all to know that the part of you that's missing has nothing to do with the scale. And I know y'all say, oh, stay off the scale. Y'all hear that all the time. But let me backtrack some. So 2017, I started on a journey where I was just looking at myself in the mirror. I was like, okay, I'm done having babies. I have this life that I've imagined building. Like, what's next? What's next? You know, there was some pieces that were missing inside of me, and I wasn't quite sure what it was. I knew that it was definitely a lack of security in what I saw, not so much what others saw. So I was like, let me look up diets. And my mom was doing what was known as the keto diet. And she was seeing great results. So I jumped on that train, and fast forward a couple years, about 4-5 years, like 2017 to 2021, I had dropped down, you know, and maintained down to 107 pounds. And still, it was like there was some lacking. There was like it was like, man, it's just still not good enough. Like, and the scale just kept saying, look, you're still not skinny enough. And eventually that becomes a sick cycle where you could almost call it a disorder. Like, when you're obsessing over what you're putting in your mouth, that is just as toxic as being obese. So what I found fulfilling, y'all know about how my husband and my son just dragged me to the gym. Like, I was just like cussing, whatever, it just didn't matter. Went in there, I was like, man, this 45-pound bar is heavy. Like, what? Like, they don't look this heavy in the videos and stuff, you know. And I left that first day thinking, this is crazy. You know, I don't know about this, but I'm gonna give it a try. Like, I told my husband, you know what, I'm all in. And, you know, later he confesses he didn't even think I was gonna make it past day 3. But about 3 months solid in, I started feeling changes, and not just physically, okay? I fell in love with whatever that process was in the first stages. And I still didn't know what to call it. I didn't know what that missing link was. But all I knew is that it made me feel better. I continued, I grinded. And about like 6 months in, regardless of what was happening around me, I was just gonna do it. The house was on fire, people's voices, the noise of the world, the unexpected things. I wasn't just showing up anyways. Like, I was also choosing me. And it later occurred to me that what was missing in me, that lack of confidence, that insecurity, that void, was actually the fact that the mental load, the heaviness in my mind, all that weight in my mind mentally, it had no momentum. So when I became, when I started to physically lift heavy things, that gave the mental load momentum. Physically I was exerting and I was pushing, and it gave my body, mind, chemistry a balance, and it was just like every day I showed up when the world walked out. Like, there were times, y'all, as y'all know, there have been trial and error. We have been through some abrupt life changes. If you go back into my previous videos, and I was showing up anyway, and that gave me courage. When I saw that I could do this, show up anyway, when I first started this journey, I was like, how hard can it be? I passed combat training with the Army as one of the older ones in my platoon. In fact, I think I was like 28. So how hard can this be, right? Like, physically, I don't have what it takes, but in my heart, I had what it takes. And that is the thing, my friends. Believe in you. Your body will do what your mind says you can do. Believe in you. Stop making excuses. Freaking make up your mind at day one that I'm going to choose me. And I am telling you, you will realize that the momentum, the balance between the physical exertion and the mental exertion, it's all about movement, people. Get up and move. Feel that void. And, I know that there are people out there that are like, oh, this fitness thing is a trend for a lot of folks. There are influencers out there that push, Photoshop and a fake idea of what this is about. Please, when you start your journey, do not be fooled. There are realistic stories, and then there are fake stories. Pick an influencer or a coach that is going to tell you that a couple marks and flaws here and there is normal. Every bodybuilder that gets on stage has them. Stay humble, be open, be teachable, and just give it a try. Give it a try. Because I promise you, the problem with the balance in your life is probably what's up here and what you're physically doing with your hands. Moving and giving your body the mindset that it can and it will do, regardless of what doctors or the standards says, will give you something powerful. And I just cannot explain it. So I'm glad that we had this opening conversation. I hope they all took from it. Another thing I really want to cover today. So we're doing back and biceps in the gym today. I will post, I will put my routine up here, or a little bit of the funny. And I will also post what I looked like before keto, how skinny I got, and what I look like now. I would like to share those pictures with y'all to encourage you. It doesn't matter what your body is right now. It can be done when you're bigger, when you're smaller, whatever it is that you're dealing with. Diabetic, anything. I've had some real health issues in the past. There was a time when a doctor had to reconstruct my ankle, and before that I didn't know if anyone would locally be able to fix me. I could not run. I looked at that surgeon. I ended up in Houston. I looked at that surgeon and I said, when you fix me, am I ever going to be able to run again? And I'm doing more than running. So just be encouraged. Be encouraged. But yeah, on to the second topic. So yesterday at Haven Ceremonies, let's talk a little bit about these grown adults, specifically grown women that are still doing the same things as they were doing back in the day in high school. I wholeheartedly believe that a part of maturity, especially us grown women, we need to set the bar for our young ladies. They need to know that we should be a unit, okay? We should be supporting one another regardless of our differences. Whatever beef you might have had a couple decades ago or 3 days ago needs to be squashed. Now, let me say this. Not every action deserves a reaction, okay? But I mean, there is a time and a place. Like, if something like what I'm about to express with y'all continues, it definitely needs to be addressed. But there's a right and a wrong way to address it. So, I live in a small town. I did not always come from a small town. I grew up in a very big 5A school. I then decided I wanted to graduate early. I had good grades, and I needed a little more structure in my life because I was raised by a grandmother. Not that I was troubled, but that I really wholeheartedly felt in my heart I needed it. I went to a military platform high school, graduated a year early. But in the time that I grew up at those 5A schools, I'm here to tell y'all, I dealt with a lot of different things. The things that some of us are seeing in these small schools now that is mind-blowing was happening back when I was in a bigger school. I mean, kids being thrown across cafeteria tables. I get fights. I've seen kids go through common windows. But yeah, the bullying was real. Girls have always been nasty, but I think it's important that we change that pattern for our young ladies. So last night I was at a banquet. I know that y'all all feel that I'm social. Actually, it's taken a lot for me to become social. I think social media gave me that ability to use my voice regardless of what y'all, especially people who grew up with me, they knew me as the quiet girl in the corner. They probably didn't like me. A lot of them that did like me loved me because it took a little bit for me to open up, a lot like Haven. I was a band nerd, so of course I was the outcast, but I guess I was kind of okay with being an outcast. I knew I was different. I knew I was unique. Later on when I got married to Kurt, I started kind of finding my voice because he gave me a space where I felt like it was okay to be who I was, and then social media came. And then I started voicing all these things with freedom through a grammatical form called social media. I've always loved grammar. Now, this whole autocorrect has definitely fouled me up, but I'm still strong in my language arts. I love it. And so social media gave me a space where, these thoughts could be put down in words, and then the world can finally see me for me, right? That was not always a good thing, because if you do not understand, like, the fundamentals of what you should and shouldn't share, I'm right in that cusp of that generation, but there's some mean people out there, I do not appreciate showing up to an event for my daughter, and of course I'm gonna avoid the food table. Like, I know that people don't understand it, but with this whole bodybuilding lifestyle, I mean, there's even a time that I should and shouldn't eat, like times, ratios, like this gets serious. So at first I was gonna avoid it, just wasn't even gonna go look at the table. Then I was told that there was some meat up there. Okay, little extra protein, not too much. It won't kill me. So I saw that Haven was a little nervous at her table. I can always feel that, because she really is a lot like who I was back then, and she's so much better. That's the goal, parents. Let me interrupt. That is the goal. Break patterns. There is no one in the world, young people that are watching this, there is no one in the world that wants you to be better than them more than your mom, okay? And Haven she is excelling, and she is embracing being unique. But Haven also has a tenacity about her that some people really don't see. And she does get that from me. So she's like, Mom, I'm having separation anxiety. I'm like, okay, walk to the table with me. Let's get some meat. Now she's all hunched over. We get to the table. It's very apparent that these two women are gossiping about another woman. Could have been anybody in there. Doesn't really matter. The plates were already wrapped up. They made it very evident that, I stood there for a minute or so waiting. Made it very evident they were ignoring me as I stood there. So I take the paper plates, freaking throw it around the table because, I have one hand available. I have my jacket in my other. I was like so hot and cold because of no AC in my car. Flip it over, make it loud, like still no contact, still just talking about so-and-so smiling at so-and-so, or she smiled, and just making me sick to my stomach, guys. So Haven could feel the tension. And so I finally said, hey, is there any more meat here? And they were like, oh no. So I'm like, don't make a scene. Don't read into this energy too much. Don't do it. Haven's like, Mom, I'm going to go onto the table. I was like, that's a good idea. I'm going to throw the plate and the fork that I worked so hard to get out while these women are gossiping and tearing down another woman that's obviously in the same building. And, I texted my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm just so tired of this small town women mentality. Now, I'm not saying there's not women like that in big towns, but I see it a lot more in my one stop sign community. Like, instead of focusing eternally on what we need to work on, it is really easy to get caught up and bored in the drama. And around here, it is totally about your last name, who your mama was, who your mama was friends with in high school. And you see, I come from a mindset where I don't care who your mom is. I've met pastors' sons that are worse than freaking single-homed orphans, okay? I know lawyers' kids that grew up to be the worst of human beings, and I'm here to tell you I have known kids that were looked down upon, that came from trailer park homes like me, that had friends that were murdered, okay? That turned out to be all right. That turned out to be parents that wanted to break these patterns in their children's life. So I get that we all go through a phase as young women where, we want to kind of get in the middle of it. But ladies, we have young women that are watching us. And of all things, an athletic banquet where we want to preach and implement sportsmanship. So I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because regardless of how I might feel about you, I am not downright, I'm not disrespecting you. And if you're going to catch me having a conversation about someone else, I promise you, I have already had that conversation with that someone else, and they absolutely know how I feel to their face. So I just want to reiterate, let's freaking be an example. Let's be an example. Let's get along. Let's build one another up. This whole bullying one another around, girl, the world is bigger than that. Ladies, the world is big. There is a whole huge world out there. And believe it or not, it's not about who's sleeping with who, who's smiling at who, how somebody put their bread on their plate. Come on. Go out there, take that energy for yourself. Show your daughters you can have that power, save that energy, and put it into something. Build it. Build it. Travel. Set some goals. I know a lot of y'all got feelings about me, how I express myself on social media. You know, okay, I have a lot of TikTok followers. That does not mean that I'm an attention seeker, but by all means, if it's giving me attention, I hope it's attention that is pouring back into you, that is teaching you some things. I have some testimonies, I have some stories to tell, and I'm here to make some noise because I want those stories to change the world, but I want it to change it for better. Spreading that negativity is not okay. Unfortunately, leaving that banquet, Haven and I had to have a discussion, and I had to tell her, baby, you know, I can't allow that type of disrespect in the future. Next time, I will address it appropriately. I will interrupt. I will be nice. You know, it won't be a big thing, but I will say, look, let's just stop this. Okay, let's all be women. Let's set an example. Let's stop talking about each other and let's help one another. If it's small, like getting a paper plate out or making eye contact and being polite, do that. If it's going up to the person that's alone in a corner or feels left out and saying something kind, let's do that. If it's like just freaking carrying our bodies in a way that is a form of, you know, like being a strong example, freaking do it. Come on, man. I'm so disappointed. I'm getting like so disappointed I'm getting loud. So let's tone it down some. Tonight, my YouTube family, I have a few more, you know, ceremonies. I'm excited for that. I'm so proud of the awards my kids will receive. And let's just pray we don't run into any problems like we did last night. Back in biceps today. I'm excited. I'm getting my pull-up form back. I can't wait for y'all to see what this cut is looking like. I'm so proud of me. And I really hope that everyone out there that's on the same journey or trying to search for themselves can find that in them too. You know, I know we were all probably something special in high school. Band nerd, I ran track, I did some wonderful things, and watching my kids make these achievements are wonderful too. But I don't want y'all older people to be discouraged. I want y'all to know that that same, you know, person it is still in there. That drive that you had, that athletic portion of you, or that goal setter that you once had, it's not too late for you. Don't give up. Set some goals. Go for it. Convince your mind it can be done. Your body will do it. It will follow. All right? Absolutely love you guys. Make sure you like and sub. Enjoy the workout and be awesome. All right? Danny Boo Rants. Sorry. Not really.
both get on the
I'm
bar?
so
Is that
hungry.
what you're saying?
Huh?
You saying we both get on the bar?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do chin-ups. You'll do pull-ups.
Yeah.
You get up first. Keep going. I'll help you. Keep going.
Oh, you pulled my pants down.
Good job.